Hi guys, it's Brandon with BitBionic, and in my last online post, I had talked a little bit about postmortem for Final Storm and how the sales turned out on that, and kind of some of the pros and cons of everything. And in that post and in the comments, I had alluded to the fact that I was toying around with some other games, and I wanted to show you one of the things that I put a little bit of work into. Um, I started working with someone that I used to work with about a year ago, and he goes by Joseph Price or Price of Mind on Twitter, and we started kind of concepting something out. We thought I kind of wanted to do something very Castle Crasher style, but different, like maybe set like kind of in a feudal Japan style setting, and then it kind of got to the point where I was like, yeah, it might be kind of neat for us to do it like anthropomorphic, like to kind of have these animal based characters in it. And so he went and did some concepts, and this is one of the early concepts that kind of grinded out, and I thought this was really cool. And we decided to take one of the characters here. So we took this wolf guy and kind of walked through, kind of building him out and exploring some gameplay concepts a little bit. And I'll show you that here in just a moment. Real quick, it is Joseph Price on Twitter, and it's Price of Mind, and he's also working on a graphic novel right now. So I'd highly suggest you go out. He's a pretty talented guy. You may want to go out and check out his stuff. So with that said, let me spin up what I have so far, and show you what this is like. All right, so everything here is just kind of a mock-up, just to get an idea, look and feel for what it might be. And you can see, I mean, I'm even using humanoid characters here, but we kind of replaced some of that, but I just kind of wanted to get some kind of a feel of what this might look like. And then what I did is I created two menu options here. One of them lets me explore kind of the gameplay concepts, and the other one was more like what would a level look like, what's the look and feel on the level going to be. Now the character he created, he hasn't done any coloring or shading on. I just took the raw character components, pulled it in, and did a few animations for it so that I'd have something to work with. So let's look at that component first. So this is our character, and I have kind of a walk and run animations, something along like that. You can see I've got a health bar and everything for him, and really one of the first things I wanted to do was just kind of get the controls set up so that I can move him around, I can jump him, I can do a running jump, and then the other thing was setting up like a finite state machine for all of his control mechanisms, because if you're working on a brawler, you want to be able to do combos and things like that. So I have a real simple finite state machine set up so that I can do one, or if I double tap or triple tap, I can start chaining things together. And I also have that working where I can do that from a jumping perspective as well. Then the next thing was to get collision detection set up. So here now I can start hitting this thing, and then also added something so that I could be able to throw. I don't know if that's coming across on video very well. He's throwing a little black Chinese star or shuriken thing, but that was that was the basics of the component. And then of course getting the camera movement, running with the character, and then being able to control the bounds, and having some collidables here, like I can't walk through this rock, but I can go behind it, that kind of a thing. Also playing a little bit with some of the parallax. You can see that the background is staying in one place while the foreground's kind of moving in, and we'll see that a little more in the level design in the next step. the other thing I wanted to do was deal with some of the things that a lot of people don't think about in games, and that's like, okay, what happens if the controller disconnects? Or what happens if since I wanted this to be sort of Castle Crasher style, I kind of thought let's do this as like a local multiplayer type thing. So what happens when someone adds a controller or takes a controller away? So if I take this controller away, it detects it, and here in just a second he'll pop out of there. And then if I add this controller back in, of course he should pop back in, spawn back in. And then I'm going to attach another controller, and we'll see another character drop in here. So now I have two characters. I can control them separately with each controller. I got to the point where I was going to test kind of the fighting mechanics. So I'll just hit him a few times until he drops. And boom, now he's down. So I just kind of wanted to make sure that the fighting mechanics were kind of working. I was able to get that. So let me get him spun back up here. And then the other thing I wanted to do is say, okay, well, how does the camera behave when I have two people on the screen? And I've still got some work to do on this, but in general, for each player on the screen, the camera, sort of tries to average its position. There's a little bit of work I've got to do there, but if they run together, then great, the camera follows along with them. But if they kind of go separate ways, the camera doesn't follow either of them. The thing I've still got to get it put in place is if they go out to the camera bounds, I need to stop the players. But of course now I can still run them out of there. So that is this level. That's the gameplay that I have set up there. It's not a whole lot. Oh, there's one more thing. I did want to work on the magic system a little bit, or just kind of test it out. So I thought, well, let's do like a teleport type of thing, and thought maybe we kind of tie like elemental magic into it. So I kind of grabbed a lightning bolt thingy, and so now I can have him, lightning teleport, back or forward. So that was another, kind of mechanic that I was playing around with. So let me back out of that and show you just, kind of what a level design might look like. And so this was the level design. This was actually one of the first things I did, and it was to kind of play around with just the look and feel. I'd never done anything like a platformer. I've never, kind of had just a 2D animated character. So a lot of this was, working through some of those and kind of knocking out the unknowns of, oh, how do I do X or how do I do Y? So really all this was to do was to create different layers. So you can see that I've kind of got these silhouetted trees in the foreground. I've kind of got these God particles kind of floating up. My path is on the characters layer, and then I've got a background layer that moves a little slower than the others in the background with the mountains. So I have the colors muted because they're normally not this dark, but it was to help in visualizing the character right now. But I'll bring the colors back in a little later. So that was the idea. This was kind of the concept that I'd come up with to this point, and we were kind of at a point of saying, okay, is it worth going forward with this? Does it look fun? Does it play fun? We kind of worked through a story idea, through a plot line, because it's got to have a little bit of a plot, right? So we have a plot line laid out, that would take the character through, kind of 6 or 7 chapters, each chapter having, obviously a few levels inside of each chapter, and then some kind of a boss fight at the end of each chapter. But we have a story wrangled around that. And I guess this was it. So I wanted to throw this out there and see what you guys thought of it. And let me know in the comments if you think it's worth pushing forward, and or if you have any cool ideas around it. Some of the other ideas that I've been toying with were instead kind of going a complete sci-fi direction and doing like a 3D multiplayer space shooter type thing, kind of doing like a dogfight thing in space. So that was the other one that I've really been toying with lately. All right. Well, at this point, I'm kind of babbling, so I'm gonna let you guys go and let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks.